Hi, I am Chris McHale. I'm co-founder and CEO of SPK and Associates, and I'm here with Vish Reddy. Do you want to introduce yourself quickly, Vish?
Hi, thank you, Chris, for having me on this call today. So my name is Vish Reddy. The founder of a company called Revyz. We are helping customers protect their data.
Okay,
And
super. And we're going to talk a lot more about this because I have so many questions for you about this because it's an area I'm really excited about. Sounds funny to say you're excited about backups, but but it is true. So first of all, we're here to basically talk about Revyz, which is your company. And we have a partnership, you, Revyz, and SBK and Associates, since we are also a lot about data, a lot about Atlassian applications, and we do a lot of managed services and services related to Atlassian products. This is why I wanted you on, so we could chat about it. So why don't we start off by why don't you tell us about Revyz, a little bit about your story and the key business problems that you're addressing.
yeah, absolutely. So let me take you a little bit of a story, how we got started.
Yep.
Last year around this time, so September of 2021, I was working for an email security company, which got acquired by another large company. It was a private equity acquisition. And the outcome for employees was not the best, and none of the employees, including myself, were too happy about it. Now, my background is a product manager, and I use Jira and Confluence day in and day out to track things, make sure things are getting built, and so on and so forth. What I noticed after the acquisition was some of the tickets, product development related tickets, started disappearing. And I was wondering, is it just my eyes or is it something else
Right.
going on? That led me to go and look in further. And what I realized was, if you don't set up your Atlassian tenant correctly with the right permissions, people have the rights to go and delete things. And if you delete something, it's gone forever. You'll never get it back.
So I'm going to pause. I want to pause you there for a minute to repeat that because I don't think a lot of people really know that that's true. Because when they have a SaaS application like Jira, or in our case, I have a story about Zoho CRM. But when they have that, they think everything's backed up.
Yeah, that's a big problem in terms of understanding or education which exists right now. There's this thing called the shared responsibility model, which all SaaS vendors follow, right? Be it Microsoft, Salesforce, you name it, all of them follow the same thing, which is the vendor is responsible for all their infrastructure, making sure their infrastructure is up and running, the security of the data from their perspective. But imagine this, you're the user of the application and the administrator. Accidents do happen, fat fingering does happen, you go press the wrong thing and things get deleted. Who is responsible for that? That action was taken by you as the customer. Now, that could have been a legitimate action. You wanted to actually go delete something.
Right.
Microsoft can't go and revert whatever you wanted to actually delete and get rid of, right? So that's where the shared responsibility model comes into play, wherein you as the customer are responsible for certain things, which is protecting your data. Microsoft or Atlassian or Salesforce, any of these companies will give you the structure or the mechanisms to protect the data, but you have to do it yourself. One of the important things, the Cloud Security Alliance updated their questionnaire, their assessment mechanism to include the shared responsibility model.
Oh, that's interesting.
Related questions. Just because they found that this concept or this understanding of every administrator out there was, people would assume that
right,
things are there in the cloud. I don't need to worry
right.
about it. I don't need to do any backup or any of those things.
So now let's go back to that company story. You started noticing these things disappearing because I just wanted to make sure you highlighted this misunderstanding a lot of people have, which is this shared responsibility is there. So then what happened? What did you do? What did you start thinking?
So I went and talked to the administrator. I wasn't the administrator. I was a user there. And two things I learned from the administrator. One was, and this is more specific to Jira, wherein if you delete something, in the cloud, it is gone. Meaning it is gone. You'll not find it again. And second, this is very critical. I thought this was something which is really important, which is you don't have a trail of who actually deleted it. Now, typically, okay, you lost some information, great, not the best scenario, but then you want to know why did that happen?
Right.
And who did it, right? The typical questions. In Jira's case, unfortunately, you don't have both of them. The data is gone and you don't know who did it.
So go ahead, keep going.
And that led us to investigating further and saying, is there a solution out there in the market which will simplify the life of an administrator? If these events do occur, and we were seeing this live happening, we didn't know who was deleting things. And so that's what sort of got us started in this exploration and saying, is there a solution out there? How can we make this a little bit more simpler for the administrator, make his life or her life more, manageable?
Right. And also just it's one of those things where a company, a customer, of Atlassian or any of these SaaS applications, they need to know that they can do that, whether it's an employee inadvertently deleting things that are important, or a lot of times these applications are integrated with other applications. And so there's some sort of data transfer, even data writing that goes on. And if something goes haywire with that integration, you could end up losing data, quote unquote, that way, and not have any access or recourse back to where you were before.
Exactly, right. I think if you recall earlier this year, accidents do happen. Earlier this year, there was on the infrastructure side. This was on the Atlassian side. Again, I'm not, this happens with most vendors. You've seen a number of AWS outages. I think the one which is more famous, I think they were trying to update a small piece of code and it got down a whole number of users in US East on AWS. So in the case of Atlassian, there was an outage. People are locked out for some period of time, and having a copy of your own data, I think, is critical. That's where administrators, IT administrators, sort of, when such events occur, that's when they go and say, "Oh, I wish I had a solution."
Right. Yeah, we actually at SBK we had our own incident of this, but not with Atlassian, but with another SaaS CRM application, Zoho, where, and I don't know if it was because of a person who deleted this or we did have an integration and something may have gone wrong. But we lost a bunch of pieces of data of leads and spent 3 weeks on the phone daily almost with a vendor trying to do something about it. But they have the same model. It was a shared responsibility model, but we just hadn't realized that at the time that this was something that we had to do or figure out. Actually, I don't even think there is a technical solution for it, so there's not really much you can do. But yeah, I think all of us have experienced this, and when we experience it, we think, how did I not know that? So that's part of why we're going through this, right? Is to tell people that there is a solution, though, and particularly with Atlassian, and maybe you can tell us. I think it helps people to have specific examples of how you might use your backup tool and restore capability. What might be an example of something that would happen? I think we talked about someone, maybe start with the first one, somebody deleting a bunch of issues or projects accidentally. What recourse do they have? What could they do with your tool?
Yeah. So today, if somebody goes and deletes something accidentally or maliciously, whatever the case may be, there is not much you can do unless you're going and manually backing up your data, which is what, by the way, Atlassian recommends. Maybe if I could share my screen a little bit and
sure. And I think on this question I was asking what could they do if they had Revyz, but maybe you can get to that answer that question in just a moment. Yeah, please show us this. This is great.
So what Atlassian recommends is, to every customer is to take a backup so that when you run into a particular situation with regards to data loss, you can revert back to it. Now, the way Atlassian allows you to back up it is all or nothing. And let me explain what I mean by all or nothing out here. If you've backed up your Atlassian site or your Jira site, assuming that you were able to successfully do it, you can then get the entire site back up. Meaning, let's say you backed up your data on August 1st, you realize something went wrong, a couple of days later, and you want to revert things back. So on August 7th, you want to revert things back.
So you get, so just to make sure I understand, you get a complete restore at a point in time, but everything, no selection. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So that's what is available today from Atlassian, although it's a long process, but that is something that somebody has to do manually. What that really means, and you hit it pretty much, which is you get a point in time restore. So that means you took a backup on August 1st, and then you're restoring back on August 7th. So if you made any changes between 1st and 7th, you've lost all of those changes. So while you're trying to recover things back, you're going to lose some more data too, because all the changes you made from 1st to 7th is gone. Now,
well, and I would also throw in there that your system is unusable because you don't want anybody making changes at this moment. So you pretty much shut it off to everybody until you have this restore done.
Correct, exactly. You're going to have to do it on the weekend. Imagine the IT administrator is like, oh, my weekend is short now. I got to go do this on the weekend, right? Now, what we offer, coming back to your question, like how are we going to be different? Number one, we are backing up the data every day. So this is something which the IT administrator doesn't have to worry about anymore. It's sort of like a shutter, set it and forget it, right? It's done. Now, when you want to recover something back, you can go search the specific thing which you want to recover back and put that specific ticket. Let's say you deleted a ticket or an attachment. You want that specific thing back. You can go back to that particular day. Let's say, again, I'll stick with my example, August 1st. You took a backup on August 1st. August 7th, you realize that you need to get something back. Now, most customers typically don't go and mess up their entire site. It's a couple tickets, couple attachments, maybe some workflow, small items. So what our app or add-on allows you to do is go to that specific day, open up that backup, search for that specific ticket you want or the workflow, and put only that thing back into your live site. So advantages out here, as you sort of mentioned, there is no downtime for the administrator or for the entire site. You do not lose that data. It's not a point-in-time recovery per se. I mean, it's not point-in-time recovery for the whole site. It is point-in-time recovery for that specific object which you have.
Okay, got it. Which is huge. I mean, so basically you solve the problem for everybody of being able to do selective restores of things that have been deleted either by accident or on purpose with no downtime and without a lot of effort on the part of whoever's your IT person.
Correct. That's right. I think if you go back to some of the traditional IT administrators, they talk about this 3-2-1 rule, meaning you have 3 copies of data, 2 of them are close by to you, 1 is offsite. So we are sort of trying to help customers or IT administrators with that mindset, trying to help them out in that manner too, because we are essentially making an offsite copy of your data and putting it in our cloud. We are built on AWS with all the security requirements in there. And the only other advantage that you have in the cloud era is that offsite data is available to you instantaneously.
Right. That's which is fantastic. Yes. Yeah. There's nothing worse than a person who uses the data for whatever their business need is, losing access to it, and then they realize it, and then they want it back. And when they want it back, they want it back instantaneously. They're panicked, because it stops them from doing whatever it is they need to do. So it's a pretty big deal.
In the past, I used to be an engineer myself, and when something would go wrong, you would have like my boss, his boss, everybody standing on your shoulder and like, oh, when can this get done?
Yes. Right? They're literally breathing down your neck. And that is not just a phrase. They actually are breathing down your neck, right? So is Vish, is the software, and your company's called Revyz. Is the software also called Revyz, or does it have a different name?
Yeah, so good question. our add-on is called backup and restore because that's what we do.
Right, great. Right. So it's
So
Revyz, backup, and restore.
that's
Okay.
correct. And then
Perfect.
the reason why the company is called Revyz is you can revise changes. You can go, you did something wrong, you can go revise that whatever change you or whatever you messed up.
Right, right. And is it available now? I'm sure it'll be AWS Marketplace where people can find this, correct?
This is an app which is going to get listed in the Atlassian marketplace. It is a
I'm sorry, not
native,
AWS. Sorry about that. Yeah.
This is a native. We are going to be the first Atlassian-native backup and restore application out there.
Oh, wow.
Meaning
Okay.
there is no third-party consoles. All your workflows, how the look and feel, everything is just like Atlassian. So if you're an Atlassian administrator, it's going to be really simple for you to navigate yourself and use this.
Okay.
And just like Atlassian, I love Atlassian because of their transparent pricing. Everything is pretty open.
Yep.
And you're going to find exactly the same thing with Revyz. We're going to be listed in the Atlassian marketplace. Our pricing is listed there. We follow all the rules what Atlassian has set out.
Okay,
so that is going to be something which is very different from what other things might all be there.
Okay. Yeah, we at SBK, we're excited about this too because we manage a lot of Atlassian environments for our clients. We're experts in Atlassian, Jira, Confluence, and so on. And we've seen this hole. And so when we found out about your product, we were very excited about being able to recommend it and use it for our clients where we're doing active administration of their environments. Is there anything else, Vish, you want to tell us about your product or?
Yeah, a couple of things maybe just to add in. My background and my co-founder's background is in enterprise data security. So what we have built out is a lot of enterprise class features. We have audit logs. Things get you can actually see what is going on with your backups. There are reports which are available, which you can include. You can print it out and include it as part of your compliance requirements. So it's easy for you to sort of prove compliance to your IT auditor. And then lastly, we are going through the SOC 2 audit process at this point of
Wonderful.
time. I think by Q1 of next year, we would be SOC 2 Type 2 certified.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
But if somebody wants to try our product out and if that is the thing which is stopping them, please, let me know. We can get you a letter from our auditor because you've started the process.
Great.
So that might be something which is helpful for you.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Vish, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a delightful conversation. I really appreciate everything you've added. And I can't wait to see your product out on the marketplace.
Thank you very much for having me out here today.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll see you later.